Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
Welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio. Me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. Guys, I want to talk about something this week. You know, I try to be a positive person. I try to tear down negativity. Try to be the light. I look for the silver lining in the cloud, the gold lining in the cloud. I'm a 2/3 full glass guy, not half empty and all that kind of stuff. I try to be, and sometimes life kicks you in and makes it a little difficult. But when I met this week's guest a couple of months ago at a summit, when she started explaining it to me, we haven't had anyone on to talk about it. And we're talking about that general topic, but from this lens, we had never heard about it. So think about this, guys. Think about who or what is the most positive thing that you see. They're always happy. Doesn't matter what, they're always happy. Having a bad day, you come home from work, they're always happy. They're always wagging their tails if they have them. Dogs. And she has written a book. For those of you guys watching the video, you can see Barb Stone, So Much to Drool About, Lessons for Living Large. And it's about her two Great Danes, Zeus and Ariana. But so seeing positivity and thinking about things in a positive light, think about dogs. It's raining out. Your dog doesn't care. If your dog likes the rain, our dog loves the rain, which is good because he's not afraid of it. But it's also terrible because he runs around like a freaking madman, gets all muddy, gets soaking wet. I have to drag him in when it's raining. Compared to probably some people you have in your life that are maybe not so positive people, and they're like, oh, it's raining, and they're Eeyores, and as opposed to your dog who's like, man, let's go play in the rain. This is freaking awesome, right? And so that's why I wanted to have Barb on.
Let's go have some fun.
That's right. That's right. Barb earned her MBA from Syracuse University and built a successful 25-year career as a senior leader in manufacturing. Despite her corporate success, she sought deeper fulfillment, studying resiliency and positive psychology. This led her to become a leadership development coach where she empowers others to create meaningful change. Barb is also deeply involved in nonprofit work, supporting community missions, certified as a co-active coach. She holds the PCC and ORSCC credentials, enabling her to guide individuals and organizations towards achieving their goals and making a positive impact. Barb spends her free time loving her Great Danes, as I mentioned, Zeus and Ariana, who were featured in the book, and other animals who also have big hearts. She is the author of, as I mentioned, So Much to Drool About, Lessons for Living Large. Barb, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio.
Hey, Ken, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Like I said, when you were telling me about your book and everything, I'm like, you got me. I'm sold. Because again, it's so true. Like dogs are just, man, they're always happy. You can take our middle daughter adopted a dog about 6 months or so ago. And, we don't know exactly what her life was before Emma got her, but presumably not the greatest, right?
Yeah.
But she's always wagging her tail. She's always happy, even though she's probably lived a pretty rough life up until the adoption and all that. And it just is another example of how animals in general, but especially dogs, like, again, they're always wagging their tail. You come home from work, you haven't been at home all day, and your dog is like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Where have you been? Like my whole life,
Yes.
And so I think looking at, positivity and resilience and things like that through the eyes of a dog, I think is kind of a fascinating and inspirational thing. And I wanted to have you on the show to talk about that in the book and everything. But
yeah,
tell us, I mentioned some of it in the intro here, Barb, but tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what kind of led you to end up writing this book.
So, Ken, as you stated, I spent 25 years as a senior female leader in manufacturing, and I kept on saying, oh my gosh, I hit my head against the wall, and it's like, really? Is this all it's about? Climbing ladders, making money? And I was in a man's world, in all honesty, and sometimes my voice, even though I moved myself up to being an executive vice president, CFO, my voice got lost. And so I'm going, there's got to be something more. So, what I think as leaders, we have to look within ourselves to really think about what is it that we need to do, our values, our purpose. And so then I started a road of discovery. I started studying resiliency, positive psychology, got involved in John Maxwell, that's where I started the coaching practice. And I realized that I had worked in my undergrad was in accounting and my MBA was in operations and finance, but I'm walking into these businesses and I'm running, over, at one point in time, over 450 people in my organization and 24/7. And I didn't know quality heat treat. I didn't know machining, but what I needed to do was I needed to lead and bring people together. And so I recognized that as a coach, that's what we do. And once I started my coaching training, I realized that I had always led as a coach. So that was like, I started that journey 3 years, like probably in 2015. And I'm going like, I think it's time for me to take a bold move and leave my corporate job. And I had gotten my coaching certifications and I was working on another level. And so I quit my job and everybody's going, what is wrong with you? And I'm going like, I'm on a journey, guys. I want to have a little bit more fun. And, the first year was just nothing but discovery about who I am, because I had been this leader. And it's like, you mean I don't have to lead, I don't have to follow up, and I don't have to make sure that we're meeting all the numbers and the KPIs and everything like that. I was my own lead. I had to be responsible. So I started working and I developed another voice in myself to being really wanting to help people. But along the way, the pandemic hit. And then it's like, again, rediscovering, how am I going to work this business? Who am I? How am I going to pivot? How am I going to get my clients? And, we found this thing called Zoom. And so one of the things as leaders, I find that we're always constantly pivoting. We're always constantly learning. We're always constantly changing. And this is part of what I started wanting to put into a book, is that, it's not rocket science. It can just be simple concepts. And so I started this entrepreneur journey and I'm loving it. And there's so many different things between my coaching, speaking, training, TEDx talk, and then this book, because it's really about that's what we need to do, is put good work out in the world. So that's kind of how I've gotten here, Ken.
Yeah, interesting stuff. We've doing a show for a long time now, and we've had people on, entrepreneurs, and especially so the corporate thing. I was nodding my head, as you probably saw, and chuckling along, because I had the same exact experience. Worked at JP Morgan, had a great career there, and not abruptly, because I'd always been thinking about it, but I left, and the same thing. People were like, "What in the world are you doing? You got this great job, you got this great career." I'd been there for 22 years, I think. And so I had the same similar reaction. Guys, we're going to hit a break here. Again, talking with Barb Stone. You can find out more at her website, barbstone.me, barbstone.me.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms, and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Check out all 3 of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. And again, talking with Barb Stone this week. I mentioned, did it kind of quick at the end of the last segment, but you can follow her on LinkedIn and on Facebook, as well as, again, barbstone.me. We'll put that in the show notes as well. So, but if you are watching, driving while you're listening, running, jogging, however you listen to us or watch us, wanted to let you know that. So Barb, so that kind of got you there, and what led to, you mentioned putting good things out and quality stuff out. But how did you decide that was the form you're going to do? And hey, I'm going to write a book, because there's a lot of other different ways you could do that, right? A lot of different other forms you could have taken. What made you decide on the book, and then how did that sort of all come to fruition?
Well, one of the things, Ken, is I'm always putting challenges in front of myself. It's like, TEDx talk. Okay. And that took me 3 years to do, because I figured it out, how to write it, how to speak it, and then go from there. And then all of a sudden, as I was working with a company and I was working and coaching them also, the one individual who was a writer, I ended up saying, I think I have a book in me. And she goes, Barb, when you're ready, I want to be there. So I belonged to a mastermind, and a bunch of people were putting books together, and, they're books, and they're about coaching, about life, and just different things. But I'm going, like, during the pandemic, I really needed to get up in the morning, get going, and really read something inspirational. And that's what I ended up finding. And so as I started doing that, and then I read one book, and then it led me to another book that had some inspiration in it, but also some pictures. And I'm going, now, I've got all my blogs, all my posts that I've put on since 2020, because I don't think I really started a year later. And I started saying, there's really good content here. And by now I've had, talking about, you were talking earlier about dogs, and having a dog that we rescued. Our first one was a Great Dane. Our first Great Dane was a rescue, I should say. And I'm going, like, she spent her first year in a crate. What was that like? She had to dream. So one of the things I started doing was pulling from my blogs and posts a lot about these different stories that people could potentially learn. Because one of the things I truly believe is what we need, other people need. And so I needed this inspirational read to be able to get me up and going in the morning. But also I wanted to put some expression to it, and I wanted to give some people the visualization. So I had this concept. And then as I started talking to people and creating a team that was going to support me, we started coming up with a concept of, a title, a little bit of a paragraph about the story, about the title, and then I wanted an illustration, and then a wisdom statement, something to get you up and going and thinking in the morning about something about life to make it real. So created the team. And it's really kind of interesting because, we were talking about titles earlier. I was going to do something boring, like The Dane's Tales. And it's like, okay, now think about The Dane's Tales versus Drool,
Right.
And so I ended up having to say, I think the most important piece about this book is that it was a creation in motion. What I thought was going to be changed as I brought on different team members. I had to interview illustrators, and I had like 6 illustrators, and I needed to find one that would be able to characterize my dogs and give them that life. So I got all these different illustrations and started picking picking them out, and then also getting them in front of other people to end up deciding helping me here. Then I found an editor that she's just amazing, because I like to kind of create the ideas and then, okay, let's put some finishing touches on there. She was also my right-hand person as far as trying to get the manuscripts together, because we changed it. It was initially supposed to be in a chronological order of the life of the Danes. And then what I had to do was I had to change it, because each Dane has a different personality. And each Dane had to learn different challenges and went through different things in their life. And so we pulled all the stories off the wall, and then we started it all over again. So it's constantly in motion. The title, I brought on this creative person who was my illustrator. And so she came up with this title about drool, and then we changed it and we added to it. So everybody had a little piece of the puzzle and seeing things that would really, really resonate. But I wanted to be able to create a book that was going to be inspirational. Instead of looking at the negative every single morning, look at something positive, being able to, and you see, and Ken, as you were talking about the dogs, they come into the room, and especially a Great Dane, they live large. They are right there in your face. But yeah, you can go away for 2 minutes and then you come back and they're like, oh my gosh, where have you been gone for 10 years? Where have you been? There's that essence of life and love that I wanted to be able to create in this book. But also, I wanted to create it for all ages. And I've had people from 4 to, up to 99s, but I always go from 4 to 104. You can learn something from it.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting it out more and really inspiring people in their life.
Yeah. So Barb, I wanted to mention, sorry guys, I have the book right here. I don't know if I dog-eared, pun intended, the page, but one of the things I learned, ironically enough, so again, the title is So Much to Drool About, Lessons for Living Large. Gosh darn it, I should have dog-eared it so I could find it quickly. I know I highlighted it. But one of the things I learned, and again, you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to hear this. This is not like anything crazy. Oh, here it is. Gosh, it was way in the beginning. The dictionary.com definition of the word drool.
Yeah.
So I don't know about everyone else. Maybe I'm in a minority here. I think of drool. I think of, I'm just going to say it, Mrs. Biz falling asleep on the couch at night, watching a movie, and she's drooling on the pillow or something. More than likely it's Mr. Biz, but nonetheless. But the dictionary.com definition of the word drool is to show excessive pleasure or anticipation of pleasure. That's not what I thought at all. I thought it was all about slobber. And so it fit even more. I'm glad you put that in there, Barb, because it fit even more with the title. And I think the goal of the book, fantastic stuff. Again, talking with Barb Stone this week. We're going to hit a break. barbstone.me, bobstone.me, also LinkedIn and Facebook. Come back after the break. We'll continue to talk with Barb.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Again, Barb Stone this week. Check out her book, So Much to Drool About, Lessons for Living Large. If you're watching, I'm holding it up. She was nice enough to send me a signed copy, I might add. You might not get one of those. You might have to spiff for a little extra for that. But nonetheless, it's a great book. If you're watching, so she talked about the illustrator. So it's a series of stories and quick points and with illustrations, and they're hilarious, by the way. So really good stuff there. So I definitely encourage you to check it out because again, I think it's I definitely for all ages, as you mentioned, Barb. But one of the things I wanted to touch on, I know you talk about regularly, is we've tried to give like tips and everything in this last segment. Typically, what are some things? And we're talking about living large and living a larger life and everything. I know you talk about 3 points to live a larger life. Walk us through what that is, if you would.
Wow, just 3 points. But, number one, I'm going to end up saying one of the things about a dog, what they do is they are curious. They're always looking for what's the next thing, or they're always sniffing out their nose and trying to figure out where they're at, or what's the most comfortable place to sleep, or the most comfortable place to go outside and potty. They've got to find it, but they're curious. And I think that if we had 2% more curiosity in our life, and instead of really going, because immediately everything that we have, we go to the negative, we would be able to really live into our lives and really create better connections and really live that larger life that that I really truly believe that we are able to do, and being curious. So think about curiosity.
Yeah, I think that's super important. That's great advice as well. This another thing, it just hit home. We're actually going on vacation, the Biz family here, coming up in just a few days, and we're going to meet some other friends down there when we're going in Florida. And my wife mentioned last night, she said, hey, the guys are thinking about putting together something to do X, Y, and Z. And I told them you probably wouldn't be interested. I said, why'd you say that? She said, well, you've never done that before. I said, right. She said, so you've never done it before. Why would you want to do it? I'm like, because I've never done it before. Because I'm curious.
Exactly.
And she said, well, what if you don't like it? I'm like, well, then I'll know that I won't do it again. But how do I know that I might love it if I don't try it, right? The whole aspect of the curiosity. And literally, my wife was like, yeah, I guess I probably should have known that about you. I probably should have said, count him in, and I'll let you know if he's out, kind of thing. But I think that's so important because that curiosity aspect of things. And I thought where you were going to go with it. You were talking about dogs finding a place to sleep. I know one of the things I literally laughed out loud at, one of your little, what we're going to call them, like little mini stories or whatever it was, and the illustration is hilarious, is I forget exactly how you worded it, but using butts as pillows.
Yes, absolutely.
And it shows one of her Danes with his head, her head on laying on the other one's butt, and the other one sleeping as well, which is hilarious. I thought that's where you're going to go with that, but that whole curiosity aspect, I think is super important. And one of the things, especially as we get older, we probably start to lose that. I don't know at what age you do, probably different for everyone, right? But especially as you get older, you just kind of get settled in your ways, and let's not do that as opposed to let's experience some new stuff,
Yeah. I mean, life is too short. It really, really is. Time is precious. And it's like if there's something that you see you want to be curious about, or something you don't like. I took Zeus yesterday to the water, and he's going like, this was the first time he had seen water, and he's like, I want to go that way. But you know what? Being curious, checking it out, knowing what you like and what you don't like, and experiencing it. I love the experience, Ken.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I follow Jesse Itzler on social media. Amazing guy, and he talks about building your life resume, and it's all about experiences. He said it's not just the experience you get at a job or things like that, but he said get out and experience new things. Say yes to a lot of things. And again, the worst you're going to find out is, oh man, that tastes terrible. I don't like whatever. I don't like cucumbers, or I don't. But you'll never know. Cucumbers might end up being your favorite food ever, but if you don't have the curiosity to try, you'll never know that. If you don't go skydiving or whatever, maybe some people aren't comfortable with that, too risky or whatever. But nonetheless, say yes to experiences. I think is so important for folks.
So, I'm going to build on that. I'm going to build on the experience because there's a story in there about being like a gallon of paint. And it is, I can't remember if it was Bo is who the story was about, but here he is, he's stepping on paper, and it's like we are this gallon of paint. We're this gallon of colors that come together because it's based upon those experiences. So it's like we're not just those experiences create us, they create who we are and how we live into the world to be that larger life because we are able to blend. So we're a gallon of paint. And I think I started that one from being a blended wine. Well, for dogs, they're not going to have the wine, but they can get into paint and being able to be that blend of just creating that right color for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So that's curiosity, a big one. What's another one of those things that you would say are another sort of point to live by to live, a larger life?
So, one of the things is following your why, following your purpose, because these dogs, they know what they want to do when they want to do it. They're really, really sure about it. Zeus goes to doggy daycare twice a week. He knows I want to go and I want to see my friends. Ariana, she likes to stay home because she's that kind of a homebody dog. Knowing your why, she wants to be with us. He wants to go out and experience life. And it's like living into that why is really important to be able to experience life in the way you need to do it. And these dogs do it. We give them our house is their house, and they get to, their why is hopping on each one of the different beds and really enjoying themselves and knowing what they need to do. And one of the other things I want you to think about is the rest. We need rest. When the dogs need rest, they just crash. And sometimes it's hard to get them up and going, but they know when they need that rest, and we need to do the same.
Yeah, and I think a big part of what you said, Barb, is your why. Living your why, just like you had mentioned between Zeus and Ariana, completely different. If Zeus tried to be a homebody like Ariana, he's not going to be happy. He's not going to be living large. If Ariana tried to be like Zeus and go into doggy daycare, she's probably going to be
happy,
miserable, but not necessarily not nearly as happy. And I think, especially in today's age of social media, et cetera, I find that especially young people, they're so impressionable. Oftentimes, they're not necessarily living their own why. They're living someone else's why, and they're trying to fit in to be someone else. And that societal pressure and peer pressure when you get into the middle school and high school and even beyond that, to trying to fit in with everyone else. Great stuff. Again, so much to drool about. Definitely check out the book. Barb, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Ken. It's been great.
Yeah, appreciate that. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100 plus streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.